Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Cowboys QB Dak Prescott makes feelings clear on George Pickens. Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott is excited to have another weapon to work with in George Pickens. Pickens arrived in Dallas via trade earlier in May. The Cowboys sent a 2026 third-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers for Pickens and a 2027 sixth-round pick. Pickens, a second-round pick in 2022, comes with some big upside. He amassed 174 receptions for 2,841 yards and 12 touchdowns across 48 games with the Steelers. His standout season came in 2023, recording 63 catches for 1,140 yards and 5 touchdowns. Prescott said he's connected with Pickens, especially after watching what type of player he has been so far in the league. "We've connected," Prescott said on 1310 The Ticket in Dallas. "I'm excited. You turn on the tape, you see a guy that can catch the football. You put the football anywhere in his vicinity, very strong hands, more than a 50-50 catcher. He thinks it's his ball when it's in the air. I'm excited for him. I know we needed some help at that position. I know that CeeDee Lamb needed some help. I think when you have a guy like that, it's hard to double-team two guys. And then when you have other guys, whether it be Jake Ferguson, Jalen Tolbert, Jonathan, Mingo, guys who have had reps and know how to get open in the league, I think we're putting together a nice group of weapons." Cowboys were seeking explosive number 2 option behind CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys did not address wide receiver in the draft, sparking some concern about their depth at the position. But the brass in Dallas was adamant that they were on the hunt for a reliable number 2 option. "We're still open to looking at a really explosive number 2 that could upgrade us," Cowboys COO Stephen Jones said ahead of the draft. "But as I said, I like our room and certainly like the players we currently have." Lamb continues to be one of the most productive wide receiver in the league. He battled injuries last season and also played without Prescott for a chunk of the year. Lamb still managed 1,194 yards and 6 touchdowns. Lamb posted a massive campaign in 2023, notching 1,749 yards on 135 receptions with 12 touchdowns over 15 games. Now with Pickens in the fold, Lamb should have a little more open space to work with. George Pickens not concerned about contract. Pickens is heading into the final year of his rookie deal, making his first year in Dallas an important one. If he puts up some big numbers with Prescott as his quarterback, he'll be due for a payday. "I'm worried about coming here and trying to help build a winning culture," he said. "Me winning a championship at Georgia, I definitely know how to win." Considering he also helped lead the Steelers to the playoffs in each of his 2 seasons, despite questionable quarterback play, it's impossible to argue against that point. Pickens is talented but comes with some character concerns. But the situation in Dallas has Pickens set up for success as he begins the next step of his NFL journey. Troy Aikman makes eye-opening Cowboys 2025 prediction. As so often happens at this time of year, the blush of spring erases many of the woes of winter, and for Cowboys fans, that's the case here in 2025. Not long ago, the team was coming off a woeful and injury-plagued 2024 season, with a 7-10 record and a coach that needed replacing. And shortly after that, it looked like the Cowboys were bungling their way through another offseason, hiring offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer, a guy who was very little in demand, to take over as coach, and failing to address glaring holes on the roster in free agency. At the draft, using the number 12 overall pick on an offensive guard, not even a tackle, was equally uninspiring. But as time has passed, and the dust has settled, the Cowboys faithful appears to be more accepting of Schottenheimer and more hopeful that the depth of Dallas's draft will win out. And the trade for potential star wide receiver George Pickens to go along with CeeDee Lamb has been the capper. Suddenly, there's some warm feelings toward the Cowboys. But there's warm feelings, then there is plain old overheated. and Troy Aikman is overheated. Troy Aikman, Super Bowl or bust. Aikman appeared with Joe Buck, his NFL broadcast partner, on Monday Night Football, on the Today Show, and the pair were asked who they were picking in the next Super Bowl. Buck, thoughtfully, explained that he felt it was time for the Buffalo Bills to make the next step and win the franchise's first Super Bowl. Aikman, perhaps less thoughtfully, blurted out his pick, Cowboys. Aikman is biased, of course, having been the Cowboys quarterback for 12 seasons, the entirety of his Hall of Fame career. He led Dallas to Super Bowl wins in 1992, 1993, and 1995, the last time the Cowboys were champs. Cowboys' hiring of Brian Schottenheimer uninspiring not long ago. Aikman had some questions about the Cowboys' direction, and the hiring of Schottenheimer, who did not drum up the kind of excitement that new coaches like former Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson did in Chicago. It's one thing if you hire somebody that everyone's excited about, for instance, like they are in Chicago, but none of that matters now, Aikman said. Sure, over the next few months, as far as how people are talking about your team, but when the season rolls around week 1, whether it's Ben Johnson, Kellen Moore, or Brian Schottenheimer, everybody's being judged on a level playing field, and it's all about winning. It doesn't matter who won the head coach, optics race, so we'll see. They've got a lot of things to like, and hopefully, Dallas can have a heck of a year. Cowboys rumors. Is Dallas desperate to sign RB like Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins? The Dallas Cowboys have made several important improvements during the 2025 NFL offseason. Dallas promoted Brian Schottenheimer to head coach and added several talented players during the 2025 NFL Draft. Cowboys fans have a lot to be excited about this fall, but there is still one position on the roster that does not inspire confidence. ESPN's Dan Graziano published an article on Wednesday that featured lingering questions heading into the quiet months of the NFL offseason. Graziano posed one question related to the Cowboys: why didn't they do more at running back? Graziano started his argument by laying out the facts. Dallas did not have a good running game at all in 2024. Only 5 teams rushed for fewer yards in 2024 than Dallas, 1,705, and the team's 6 rushing touchdowns ranked last in the league, Graziano wrote. The retirement of longtime interior offensive line standout Zach Martin isn't likely to help the Cowboys improve their rushing attack. The Cowboys did sign Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders during free agency. They also drafted Texas RB Jaden Blue during the 5th round of the draft. This begs the question, will the Cowboys add one more player to the mix ahead of training camp? Will the Cowboys turn to a veteran like Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins during training camp? Graziano does not believe the Cowboys will add more talent at running back. He pointed out that Dallas has been pretty cheap when addressing the position over the past few seasons. Over the past couple of years, the Cowboys have made it clear that they intend to find bargains at running back, Graziano added. Dowdle's journey from the middle of the depth chart to a 1,000-yard rushing season in 2024 supports their idea that they can find production at RB without spending big. This seems to align with how the Cowboys are building the team this offseason. Williams and Sanders are on 1-year deals and Blue is incredibly cheap as a 5th-round rookie. The Cowboys believe these are exactly the kinds of chances they should be taking at the position, and that one of Williams, Sanders, Blue and Maffa will emerge the way Dowdle did last season. So I wouldn't necessarily get my hopes up about the possibility of Dallas signing Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins, Graziano concluded. Graziano made sure to say there is still a chance that Dallas does bring in a veteran. That said, it is easy to understand his skepticism. Cowboys fans should not get their hopes up about Chubb or Dobbins coming to save the day. And you, fan? What do you think about Nick Chubb's situation? Write to us in the comments.